What's up, my friends? Jimenez here, a channel that exists to help you guys stand strong in your faith so that you guys can have wise thinking and bold living. So today I'm excited because many of you guys know he's a huge sensation. He's like the end of millennial generation who led in the Gen Z generation, Logan Paul himself, millions of followers. And recently on ImPaulsive, on his podcast, he had Cliff Knechtle with his son Stuart, both pastors on. Now, this is huge because even though Logan has had a kind of religious background, there's been a huge issue through the years that he's had with Christianity, with religion in general. But what's exciting, my friends, is you are seeing this transition that's happening with a lot of people like Logan Paul. Take a listen to this conversation that he has with Cliff.
Okay, so the soul is the person that can be shaped by human experience. So like if you were to like run a simulation of like Cliff, 100 simulations of the life of Cliff in some future distant world, do you become a pastor in all 100 of those simulations? Is every one of those simulations, is Cliff a good guy? Especially if the human experience that each Cliff experience or goes through is different. And then does your soul become a different thing? And then also, I asked myself, like, okay, what is the soul? Because you're saying it's shaped by human experience, but like, what about like a baby or like a child? Like, say a child passes away and they're like, essentially a blank canvas. What happens to that soul? What if?
Just stop and think about this. These are deep questions. I love how Logan is asking question upon question. He's thinking. This guy is not stupid, and that's the thing that I want you guys to know. For this young generation, I get this all the time as a Christian apologist, traveling this country, talking to atheists, talking to skeptics, talking to people who deconverted from Christianity years ago. But they want to have honest and open and objective conversations. And this is what we're seeing. And we get to peel back and kind of understand how this guy processes certain things and how he respects and admires someone like the Knechtle family.
If that human hasn't accepted Jesus because he's 4.
Well, that's why they baptize babies, right?
Well, I'm convinced, though, that babies who die are going to be in heaven because of the way Jesus treated children. He said, "Let the little children come to me, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven." So God is a compassionate God, and obviously a baby has not sinned. They've not rebelled against God, so I think they're going to be in heaven. But I think you raise a great question when it comes to Cliff. If there were 100 different scenarios over the next 1,000 years of you, would you always become painful? In other words, it's not been predetermined. That's this whole issue of free will. That's why I hold you responsible and you hold me responsible for what I do, for what I say, because I don't have to do it.
It's not a script.
Exactly. It's not a script. This whole idea that God writes on a piece of paper, which you and I are going to do tomorrow, locks it in a bank vault, and then you and I have to do what's written on the paper. That's determinism. That's fatalism. No, we're human beings created in the image of God, which means God partially limits his power by giving us a free will, and then we choose what we do. But God does hold us responsible, and that's why I love what you pointed out about the importance of responsibility. But Logan, you and Jesus are, I think, a little closer than you might realize when you talk about justice.
That's going to get clipped up, man.
Okay?
That was
justice.
That's going everywhere.
The reason is, why did Christ die on a cross? He didn't die on a cross because God is lovey-dovey. He died on a cross because God is just. And because God is just, the penalty for evil is death and hell. And Christ went to the cross, paid that penalty. Why? Because God's lovey-dovey? No, because God is just. The penalty for human evil must be paid. Oh, that's not cool. That's not cool. Oh, that's very cool. I understand you're an expectant father. Little baby coming into the world?
Little baby girl.
Your mom was bragging to me about it.
Yeah. Little baby girl.
Sounds good.
Yep.
All right, Logan. Now let's talk theoretically.
Okay.
Let's say somebody murders that little baby.
God damn it, Cliff.
Didn't even get a chance to do anything. Didn't even make one video.
Good response, Logan.
Horrific. I wasn't expecting this. Cliff,
All right.
come on, dude.
Good response.
Yo, that's the hook.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yo, sorry, Ma.
Ex-grandma.
She didn't make it.
Damn, dude.
Okay, I love your response.
What?
Why? Because you know very well that if the police or the judge lets that dude off scot-free, your baby does not matter. Now, what's fascinating is the way so many secular people will say, well, God's just love, so there's going to be no judgment. Really? So God doesn't judge the guy who murders my child? That's a clear statement on God's part. Your child, Cliff, does not matter to me. Therefore, I will not judge the guy who murdered your kid.
Man, there's so much more we can watch. I encourage you guys. I'll put the link in the description below. But one of the things I wanted to touch on that is so amazing about this whole issue with Logan Paul, and if you're watching it, you see the attentiveness. I love this, you guys, because one thing, if anything, I wanted to stress on this in this video, and why I do this channel is again to help you guys stand strong in your faith. And the wise thinking through this is that not everybody is out to get us as a Christian, that just want to argue. And the bold living is don't let fear prevent you. And I love this about Cliff and his son. For years, for decades, they've been going on college campuses and they debate people respectfully. And they're challenged with a lot of things and they don't have all the answers. But when you have this kind of conversation of all questions that Logan can ask, he's asking about the soul. Now, when you and I look at the Old Testament, the Hebrew words translate soul as nephesh, and it appears in various different contexts about being and breath and person in life, right? That's the heart of it. When you see that God formed man from the dust of the ground and he breathed into his nostrils, right? He gave man life, that living being, the nephesh, the act of divine inspiration that we see. It's a gift from God. It's like this life force that we have. And so, yes, you know, the soul that's absent from the body or the body from the soul, there is death. So there is nothing that we can do without the soul. And so when he's talking about these experiences, it's not your experiences make up your soul. It's who you are as an image bearer of God, that we are a body and a soul. And see, this is what people like Logan and many of them are struggling. They want to have answers. So when you look at the word psyche in the Greek in the New Testament, it corresponds to nephesh, but it goes now into more counterparts as it develops this depravity of man into redemption and talking about the mind and talking about the will and talking about the emotions. And this is so fascinating. Why are people like Logan Paul talking about this? Because they're hungry, because they're realizing in the inner self, if you will, they're realizing that this world doesn't have anything to offer. And they've been neglecting, if you will, their soul. Their soul is dying because of the sin that they keep perpetuating in their life. Now check out this other one of him talking about what happens when you die.
Have you ever been challenged with some sort of scientific explanation about what happens after you die? I have a theory, but I'd like that answer.
Now, he goes into Stuart right here. He goes into near-death experiences. Okay, but I want to jump into what Logan says here.
William Shatner, near-death experiences on Netflix. but no, it's fascinating. And I believe there's also a study that was conducted where there was like an observable amount of energy that leaves the body after someone passes away. Is that the soul? Potentially, right? Because energy can neither be created or destroyed. There's a finite amount in the universe, a traceable. I mean, that's at least what the science I've been told says.
Right.
But I have a question about the soul as well, because I'm so confused what that means. People say, oh, you have no soul, or like it's in your soul, or, you know, say it with your soul. What does that mean to you guys?
Well, see, this is amazing, you guys, and I do encourage you guys to check out this conversation. But again, notice the honesty, my friends. It goes back to the soul. You know, the New Testament frequently links the soul with salvation. So you know what really Logan is trying to answer here, he's trying to surmise, is what happens when I die. Now, you and I know, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 9, we believe that we as Christians, the outcome of our faith is the salvation of our souls. Right there, that underscores the heart of what Logan Paul and many people in his generation are trying to answer. They're trying to figure out, what does this relationship with God look like? But you got issues of intolerance, you got issues of hypocrisy, and you got violence, and you got moral evils, you got corruption, you have sin in your own heart that you are afraid to go before a holy God and ask for forgiveness. But what I love about the Knechtle family, both father and son, and this is an encouragement, I want to just leave you with this, is they're pointing not only Logan, but his friend, I believe his name is Mike. And I think he's been coming back around too. He was on his old friend George Janko's podcast, and they're talking about their faith. Now, I believe a lot of these guys have put their faith and trust in Jesus, but there's some progressive, immature carnality that's still there. And of course, like any of us, they're in a process of sanctification. But I just say this, you know what? It's awesome. It's awesome to see that these people are hungry. They're looking at the relationship with God that Pastor Cliff and Pastor Stuart have. And I got to say, I want to leave you guys with this. What we see in this picture of a young multimillionaire, very famous young person who's been successful since before he would turn 20 years old, I believe. Remember Vines? That's how he and his brother Jake, they would put out these Vines. And then they were one of the two biggest sensations for a long time on YouTube. But it reminds me of Psalm 42, where it says, "The deer pants for the stream, as a deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O Lord. I thirst for God, for the living God." That is what Logan here, you guys, if you see this picture right here, that is what Logan is searching for. There are Logans in your life. And I encourage you guys, again, with wise thinking and bold living, that you would be able to show them the love of Jesus Christ, to answer their questions. And if you don't have the answers, hey, go out there and research them, but sit with them, work through these type of issues. Because what was so fascinating, I watched the entire episode, 2.5 hours of it. Took me a while in the last 2 weeks or so. But when I finished it, I was praying for this generation. And it was a reminder, as I engage young people, as you engage young people, a lot of them are very thoughtful. A lot of them they're very considerate. They have questions. And they love when older people like Cliff come with his son, a legacy, because unfortunately for Logan, he comes from a broken family where his dad, allegedly, he was saying, was abusive. And I think he has a better relationship with him now as an adult, but the point is he comes from a broken family. And these people are hungry when they see wholeness and they see completeness. So when people talk about the soul, when they talk about near-death experiences, when they're talking about the afterlife, there is a lostness, there's a confusion, and they feel, despairingly, they feel lost and they need help. So I encourage you guys to make sure that when you watch stuff like this, it should encourage you to see that there is a hunger for God. There's a hunger for truth, that people are lost without him and they're looking for this intimate connection. If your relationship with God, and I believe it's true, can be a way to lead them to forgiveness and to have everlasting life in Jesus' name, I pray, my friends, that you would be that witness. Thanks for watching, and check out other videos that I have on this channel. If you've not subscribed thus far, I encourage you guys to do that, to continue to help other Christians to stand strong in their faith. Until next time, stand strong in yours.